For hundreds of years, the Zelthar Dominion ruled the stars. Their war fleets moved like storms, fast and unstoppable. World after world fell before them. No one could stand against their power. They were called the Endless Empire. They feared nothing. The Zelthar did not believe in mercy. When they came to a planet, they gave only two choices: kneel or burn. Every race they met made the same mistake. They tried to fight, and every one of them fell. The Zelthar had learned to enjoy war. They believed no one in the galaxy was strong enough to stop them. Their fleet stretched across thousands of systems. Their soldiers were born in war, trained to obey without question. Their technology crushed their enemies like insects. For a long time, nothing changed. The Dominion grew larger. They crushed another rebellion, burned another city, added another world to their map. Their leaders sat in the High Council, proud and untouchable. Then, one quiet day, the scanners of the Dominion border station picked up something. It was small. It was alone. It was not a fleet, not a warship. The station commander frowned. "What is that? A lost trader ship?" His second officer checked the data again. "No, it's not any design in our records. It's something unknown." An unknown vessel was entering their border space. The commander laughed. "One ship? This will be easy." The Zelthar had seen this before. Sometimes, small wandering species would cross into their territory by mistake. When that happened, the Dominion would simply destroy them and send the pieces back to their home. It was a warning to others. A patrol fleet of 5 ships was sent to intercept. The officers on board were relaxed. For them, this was not war. This was entertainment. But the ship did not turn away. It moved with steady speed, like it had no fear at all. "Strange," the commander said. "Usually they run." The ship was small, white and silver. Its engine trail burned bright blue. No flags, no warnings, just silence. The patrol opened a channel. A harsh alien voice spoke. "Unknown vessel. You're entering Dominion space. Stop your engines or you will be destroyed." For a moment, nothing. Then, a calm voice replied, "This is Earth Vessel Odyssey. We are explorers. We come in peace." Earth? No one in the Dominion had ever heard this name before. The patrol laughed. "Explorers? How cute. End transmission. Prepare the guns." The commander gave the order to lock weapons. But something happened. The small ship changed its course in a strange way, not fast, but sharp, like it cut through space itself. Their targeting systems failed for 2 seconds. It was nothing for them, just a glitch. But for the small ship, it was everything. The Odyssey was now behind them. The patrol captain shouted, "How did it? Turn the fleet!" The Zelthar ships moved to surround the intruder. 5 heavy cruisers against 1 tiny ship. The odds were perfect. The Dominion always won in moments like this. But deep inside the patrol leader's mind, a small voice whispered. Something didn't feel right. The human ship sent another message. "We mean no harm, but don't test us." The commander ignored it. "Fire!" Energy beams lit the darkness of space. 5 heavy cruisers released their full power. The small ship vanished, not destroyed. Vanished. "Where is it?" the sensors screamed. No one could answer. Then, too, an explosion. 1 Dominion cruiser broke apart. No flash, no warning, just sudden death. The bridge fell silent. Someone whispered, "That's impossible." The unknown ship appeared again, floating calmly like nothing had happened. The patrol commander's hands shook. He had never felt fear before. The calm voice came again. "We asked for peace. Remember this moment." Then the human ship turned and left. No chase. No war. Just silence. But the silence was louder than any battle cry. The surviving ships returned to the border station. Their reports spread through the Dominion like fire. The High Council laughed when they heard it. Lies. 1 ship cannot destroy a Dominion cruiser, one lord said. It must be a trick. Perhaps a reactor failure, another said. But the faces of the patrol crew were pale. Their voices shook. They had seen something no one in the Empire had seen in centuries. For the first time in 600 years, the Zelthar Dominion had lost a ship in battle. Not to an army, not to a rebellion, but to one small ship from a world called Earth. Far away in the deep cold of space, the human ship Odyssey continued its journey. It did not celebrate. It did not send a victory message. It simply disappeared into the stars, as if it had never been there. But the Dominion would not forget. The day had come when the empire that feared nothing felt the first seed of fear grow in its heart. The High Council sent spies. They sent war fleets. They wanted to know who these humans were, but the humans already knew them. And they were waiting. This was just the beginning. The Zelthar Dominion had never been challenged before. But now, their people whispered about the strange encounter at the border. One small human ship had entered their space. One Dominion cruiser had exploded. And the humans had simply left. The High Council called it a mistake. They said the cruiser's reactor failed. They said humans were weak. They said no one could beat the Dominion. But soldiers did not believe those words. They had seen the recordings. They saw the human ship vanish and appear behind them. They saw the calm human voice. They saw the explosion that no one understood. Fear was a new thing for them. The Dominion was not used to fear. A week later, the human ship returned. It appeared near another border station, alone again. This time the Dominion was ready. The High Council sent a much bigger fleet, 20 heavy cruisers and 2 war carriers. Their plan was simple: capture the human ship, study its technology, and then destroy it. They thought humans were foolish to return. But the humans were not foolish. The fleet commander, Lord Koresh, watched the small ship appear on his main screen. "It's just one vessel," he said. "End this quickly." The patrol opened a channel again. "Unknown vessel. You are in Dominion space. Turn off your engines. Surrender now." The same calm voice replied, "This is Earth Vessel Odyssey. We are not here to fight, but we will defend ourselves." Koresh laughed. "Defend? Against this fleet? You are nothing." He raised his hand. "Lock weapons." The Zelthar cruisers spread out like a steel net. The small human ship was at the center. 20 heavy cruisers against one tiny ship. No chance to escape. No hope to survive. But the Odyssey did not run. It stayed still. Its white hull reflected the light of the alien suns. Inside the Dominion flagship, sensors started to flicker. "Sir, something is wrong," an officer said. "What is it?" Koresh asked. "The ship. It's disappearing from the scanners." Koresh frowned. "That's impossible." But the officer was right. The human ship was still there, visible to the eye, but invisible to every sensor they had. "Find it," Koresh shouted, but it was too late. One of the cruisers at the edge of the fleet exploded. No flash, no warning. A hole opened in its center like someone had cut it with a blade. Thousands of Dominion soldiers screamed as their ship burned. "Who fired?" Koresh roared. "No one fired," the weapons officer answered. "It just broke apart." Another explosion. Then another. The Zelthar ships fired in every direction, but they were hitting nothing. The human ship moved like a ghost between the cruisers. Fast, silent, perfect. Their tracking systems could not keep up. Koresh's heart started to race. He had never felt this before. He was a warrior born in an empire that always won. And now, he was afraid. The calm human voice returned. "We do not want war, but we are not weak. Do not test us again." Koresh clenched his teeth. "Fire everything." The entire fleet unleashed its weapons. The sky filled with beams, rockets, plasma fire. But the human ship was gone again. 3 more cruisers exploded. The war carriers began to retreat. Panic spread. The Zelthar had no idea how to fight an enemy they could not even see. Then, something even stranger happened. All Dominion weapons shut down. Every screen turned black. The engines stopped. Koresh shouted, "Status!" A terrified engineer whispered, They hacked us!" In seconds, the human ship had entered their entire network. The great Dominion fleet was now blind. Koresh fell silent. He had never felt this powerless. The human ship sent one last message. "We will leave now. Remember this. We came in peace, and you attacked us." Then the Odyssey disappeared into the dark. The silence that followed was heavier than any battle. The Zelthar soldiers stood on their powerless ships, listening to their alarms and broken systems. No one spoke. When they returned to the High Council, they carried the worst news the Dominion had heard in centuries. They had sent one of their strongest fleets, and they had lost without even touching the enemy. The council chamber echoed with anger. "This is impossible," one of the lords shouted. "No one can hack our systems," said another. "They must be gods," whispered a third. But Lord Koresh, who had seen the human ship with his own eyes, said nothing. He could still hear that calm human voice in his head. "Do not test us again." The Dominion sent more scouts, but the Odyssey was nowhere. The humans had vanished into the stars, and yet something was changing. The soldiers whispered the name humans like a dark shadow. The people in the outer worlds began to fear the unknown enemy. Fear spread like a virus. For the first time in their history, the empire that feared nothing could not sleep easily. They realized something they had never faced before, an enemy they could not understand. The Zelthar Dominion was built on fear. They made others afraid of them. No one ever made them afraid, but now, the word humans moved through their fleets like a cold wind. Soldiers spoke it in low voices. Commanders avoided it, and the High Council hated it. The Dominion could not accept that one small human ship had destroyed their fleet. Their pride was broken. Their power was questioned. The High Council gathered in the Great Hall. Hundreds of glowing stars on the ceiling showed the size of their empire. For centuries, no one had dared to stand against them. "We must crush these humans," one lord shouted. "They must be found and erased," another added. "They humiliated us," said a third. "They must pay." A new plan was made. No more small patrols. No more warnings. They prepared a war fleet, 100 ships. It was the largest single fleet ever sent for a single target. The mission was clear: find the humans, destroy them. Show the galaxy that the Dominion still ruled the stars, and then the human ship returned. It appeared in the middle of an empty system, calm, silent, alone. No escort, no army. Just one small white ship called Odyssey. The Dominion fleet arrived like a storm. The sky filled with warships. 100 heavy cruisers, 5 war carriers, 10 dreadnoughts. The Odyssey looked like a pebble facing a mountain. The fleet commander, Lord Varric, stood on the command bridge. He was a proud warrior born for war. He believed no enemy could beat the Dominion. "This ends today," he said. The Dominion fleet surrounded the Odyssey. Every gun was locked on it. Every shield was active. Every sensor was watching. Lord Varric opened a channel. "Human vessel, you will not leave this place. Surrender your ship or be destroyed." The same calm voice replied, "We do not want war. But if you bring war, we will end it," Varric laughed. "You think you can end us? Look around you. One ship cannot fight a fleet," but the humans did not reply. Then the lights on the Dominion ships flickered. For a second. "Then two, report," Varric said. "Nothing. Just a power wave," an officer answered. "Everything is stable." But something had already changed. One of the war carriers suddenly lost all control. Its engines failed. Its shield shut down. Then its own guns turned and fired on a cruiser next to it. "Who gave that order?" Varric shouted. "No one. They hacked it." The officer screamed. The battle began. The Dominion fleet turned into chaos. Ships fired on each other. Engines failed. Weapons locked on friendly targets. The Odyssey did not fire a single shot. It simply moved through the battlefield like a shadow. Every time Dominion ships tried to target it, it vanished from their sensors. Inside the bridge of the flagship, fear filled the air. Varric's heart pounded. "What are they?" he whispered. A small screen on his console turned on. A human face appeared, calm, expressionless. "Your power is not real," the human said. "You rule by fear. We do not fear you." And then every Dominion ship shut down at once. Engines off. Weapons off. Communications dead. In the blackness of space, only the small human ship still moved. A single voice echoed in every ship at the same time. "We gave you a chance. You chose war. Do not forget what happens next." The human ship disappeared into the stars again. The Dominion fleet floated in silence like dead metal. 100 ships, no power, no control. When they finally returned to their territory, the Empire was in shock. This time there was no way to lie. Too many had seen it. Too many ships were disabled. The great Dominion fleet had been broken without a single human shot. The High Council fell into chaos. Some lords screamed for more war. Others whispered about surrender. Some demanded to learn more about these humans, but the soldiers already knew something. The humans were not strong because of numbers. They were strong because they were different. They didn't fight like other races. They didn't fear like other races. The Zelthar always won through fear. But how do you fight someone who is not afraid of you? A rumor spread like fire. It said the humans had no empire, but they had power greater than empires. It said they were not conquerors. They were something worse. It said they were hunters who waited in the dark. That night in the great capital of the Dominion, Lord Varric stood alone on his balcony. The stars above him felt different now. For the first time in his life, they made him feel small. He whispered to himself, "If one human ship can do this, what will happen if they send more?" No one answered. The night stayed quiet. But deep inside, the entire Dominion felt the same question. And none of them liked the answer. The Zelthar Dominion had always been the hunter, but now they were the ones being hunted. The stories of the human ship spread through the Empire faster than any fleet could fly. Soldiers whispered the name humans. Some called them ghosts. Some called them demons. But everyone agreed on one thing. They were afraid. Fear was not something the Zelthar understood. For centuries, they were the strongest. They were the ones who made others kneel. But now it felt like something was watching them from the dark. The High Council met again in the Great Hall. The air was tense. There was no pride in their voices anymore. Only anger and fear. Lord Varric stood before the council. He had commanded the great fleet that humans had destroyed, without firing a single shot. He had seen what no Zelthar leader had ever seen before, an enemy that did not play by their rules. "You lost 100 ships," a council member shouted. "You gave them our fear," another hissed. Varric clenched his fists. "I did not give them fear," he said quietly. "They took it." The council room fell silent. Those words cut deeper than any weapon. Another lord spoke, his voice trembling. "We are the Dominion. We are not afraid of anyone. We have crushed empires. We have burned worlds. One small ship cannot—" "It already did," Varric interrupted. "They did not conquer us with guns. They conquered us with fear itself." The council argued for hours. Some demanded a larger fleet. Some wanted to open negotiations. Others believed the humans should be ignored. But ignoring them was impossible. Every border station now reported strange signals. Radar echoes that appeared and vanished in seconds. Ships that went missing without a trace. Voices in the comm system that whispered in strange languages and then fell silent. It felt like the humans were everywhere, even when no one could see them. Outside the capital, in the great military academies, new soldiers were trained. But their eyes did not shine with pride anymore. They were trained to be fearless. But now their hands shook when they heard the word Odyssey. In the outer colonies, people started to panic. Rumors spread like fire. "They are already here. They can appear inside our cities. They can destroy planets without firing a shot." None of it was proven. But fear doesn't need proof. A secret meeting took place in the High Council's war chamber. Only 5 lords were there. They were the oldest, the most powerful, the rulers of the Dominion. One of them whispered, "We can no longer hide this from the people." Another replied, "If we admit fear, we lose everything." Lord Varric said, "If we lie, we will lose even faster." Then came a voice from the shadows. It belonged to Lord Thane, the oldest of them all. He leaned forward slowly, his red eyes cold. "Do you not see what is happening?" he said. "The humans are not attacking us. They are breaking us from the inside." The others stared at him. Thane continued, "Empires fall not from the outside, but from fear within. We used fear to rule others. Now they are turning it against us." No one had an answer. That night, the streets of the capital city were not quiet. Even here, in the heart of the Dominion, people felt something. The air felt heavy. The stars seemed darker. Guards patrolled in silence, looking over their shoulders, as if expecting something to appear from the sky. And then, something did. A flash of white light cut across the night sky above the capital. A shape, small, fast, and silent, flew over the defense towers. The alarm screamed. Anti-air guns powered up. But before a single shot was fired, the object was gone. In the command center, officers shouted, "It's them!" "It's the humans!" But the sensors showed nothing. The object had already disappeared. It was just a glimpse, a shadow, a reminder. The next morning, The people of the capital woke up to see a message burned into the surface of the largest tower. 5 simple words in their language: "We are not your enemy." The High Council was terrified. No one had entered the capital in 1,000 years. No enemy had ever touched their world, and yet the humans had left a message on their doorstep like it was nothing. The Empire's strength was in its image, untouchable, invincible. But now that image was cracking like glass. The lords gathered again. Some screamed for revenge, some demanded surrender, but deep inside they all knew the truth. The humans didn't need to fight them. The humans were letting them destroy themselves. And somewhere out there, beyond the stars, the human ship Odyssey watched in silence. They had no massive fleets. They had no armies. But they had something more powerful. They had fear on their side. Inside the Dominion, the fear kept growing. Whispers turned into panic. Panic turned into anger. And anger turned against their own leaders. For the first time in their history, the Dominion wasn't fighting an enemy on the outside. They were fighting themselves. The humans didn't need to attack again. The war had already begun inside the Empire's heart. The Zelthar Dominion had been the strongest empire in the galaxy. For centuries, no one had ever made them kneel. But now they were falling. And the humans had not fired a single war. Their fear had grown like a storm. Whispers had become panic. Panic had become chaos. The mighty empire was cracking from the inside. The High Council met for what might be their last time. The great hall was dark. No one shouted anymore. Their proud voices had become quiet. Lord Varric stood at the center. He had seen the human power with his own eyes. He knew what they could do. Lord Thane spoke slowly, his old voice trembling. "They are not here to conquer us," he said. "They are here to show us what we truly are." Another lord whispered, "We built our power on fear, and now they give it back to us." Far above them, the stars began to move. Thousands of Dominion scanners screamed at the same time. Unknown signals were entering their core system. The humans had returned. But this time it was not one ship. It was many. Silent, fast, impossible to track. No engines, no warnings, no war cries. The Dominion activated every defense. Towers lit up. Fleets rushed into position. But no matter how hard they scanned the sky, they saw nothing. And then, all at once, every weapon on every planet shut down. Missiles froze in their silos. Defense shields turned black. War fleets hung in the air like dead metal. In one heartbeat, the entire Dominion became silent. Lord Varric stared at the control screens. "This is impossible," he whispered. But it was happening. One by one, holograms of the human ships appeared inside their war room. Not real ships, just projections. But they filled the sky above the capital. And then a voice, the same calm, steady human voice that the Dominion would never forget. "We are not here to destroy you. But if you bring war, we will end it before it begins." The council froze. No one dared to speak. The voice continued, "We don't rule with fear. We don't build empires. We survive. We protect. But if someone tries to burn the stars, we make sure they can never burn again." Suddenly, every Dominion screen lit up with images, not of war, not of death, but of their own history. The planets they burned, the cities they destroyed, the faces of the millions they had conquered. The humans were showing them what they had done. Every citizen could see it. Every soldier, every child. The truth they had buried under their victories. In that moment, the Dominion was naked before the galaxy, not feared, not glorious, just exposed. Outside, the human ships still did not fire. They didn't need to. Their technology was beyond anything the Dominion had ever known. They could end the war in seconds. But they didn't. Lord Varric looked at the other council members. His voice was low but steady. "This is not war. This is judgment." Lord Thane closed his eyes. "We cannot fight them. We can only choose what happens next." For the first time in their long, cruel history, the Dominion surrendered. Not because they were forced, not because they were conquered, but because they finally understood. They sent a message to the human fleet. "We surrender. We will not fight again." The reply came quickly. "Then this war is over." And just like that, the human ships disappeared. No fleets stayed behind. No armies marched on their planets. No one took their worlds. The humans came like ghosts and left like shadows. The Dominion looked at the empty sky. They were still alive, but their empire would never be the same. In the days that followed, something strange happened. The soldiers stopped calling humans monsters. They started calling them something else, the ones who showed us the truth. The Zelthar were no longer the hunters. They had been changed, broken, but also freed. Lord Varric stood on the same balcony where he once felt proud of his empire. Now he looked at the stars differently. He no longer saw places to conquer. He saw places to protect. He whispered to himself, "They could have destroyed us, but they didn't. That is real power." Somewhere out there in the dark between stars, the humans were still watching, not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as a warning to anyone who thought fear was strength. Because the Zelthar learned a lesson no empire had learned before. Real power is not in destroying others. It is in making them see. The Dominion surrendered without a single human casualty. The empire built on fear was ended by something stronger. Not weapons, not fleets, humans.